Hello everybody, I left my face cam on, that's my bad. There we go. Hello, welcome back. We're playing The New Order. And we are playing as an ailing, geriatric, and ill and shot Hitler. And we have nominated Spear as our replacement. If you haven't seen the first episode, watch it. We look at the context for the mod in that one. There are some student protests, and I thought we had a choice about how we deal with them, but we don't. These all do the same thing. Get the event, the Student Revolt. Someone has opened up the city's armory and is going to quell the unrest forcefully. Let's see. The Student Revolt. Der Tag des Vertas, they're calling it. The Day of Betrayal. Betrayal against the people of the Reich by their leaders, their police, their military, by everyone. The police in Aachen took it upon themselves to open fire on a crowd of teenagers who had started a small riot outside the local Orpo station. And what started as a police shooting has sparked a massive riot across the city. Who could have seen that coming? Aachen is now burning as Orpo units there struggle to hold their lines against the furious crowds of rioters. And with the military stepping in and declaring martial law and Orpo units ordered to stand down, large sections of the city have been left to the mob. This action hasn't been limited to Aachen, with both protesters and overzealous Orpo officers across the country taking up arms in inspiration. Most of the larger cities of the Reich will now look like a war zone, with condemnation and protests in fellowship reaching as far as Moscow. For the sake of the Führer, remain calm. So I don't have enough political power to do anything. Oh well. Okay, so there's protests breaking out all over the country. That seems bad. Maybe they don't like my austerity program. Okay, well, I'm just waiting for the next event at this point. We'll see what happens. We're going to keep diverting infantry equipment to ourselves, probably, but I don't want to lower my legitimacy too much, because I imagine that matters. I imagine it's like it affects your starting stability if a civil war breaks out. I also don't know if a civil war is inevitable, and I don't want chat to tell me. So we're going to act like we're trying to avoid a civil war. With his successor, we should be able to navigate to victory. We'll see. How's our poverty rate changing, by the way? Let's have a look at that. Societal development poverty rate. It's trending down. I imagine that means that's bad rather than good. The Great Bulgarian Game. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Right, I noticed Hungary has actually lost land since the beginning of World War II. To Romania, which is really interesting. I think, right? Or maybe not, actually. But wasn't this border straight? They've gained this bit. But wasn't this border straight? Maybe I'm crazy. They have. Okay. The Great Bulgarian Game. Bulgaria, since the closing days of the Second World War, has been closely linked to Germany and her pact. Pact is our faction name, I think, by the way. This wasn't an issue for Bulgaria, and was even profitable for nearly a decade. The great market crash of the 50s changed everything, however. So closely tied to the German economy, it was only natural that Bulgarian markets followed suit. Bulgaria very nearly left the pact. The Germans, exerting the rest of their influence they had in the region, managed to threaten, bribe, and call in enough favours to pack the German administration with pro-German ministers. To keep the government under close watch, the Germans shortly after deployed a garrison to Sofia to help keep the peace during the turmoil. 10 years later, no one can see German boots. And one still sees German boots patrolling the capital. Times are changing, however. The Bulgarian government is perhaps ripe to be overthrown. The Prime Minister Gabriski, well known to be in German hands, recently died in a car accident. Rumour surrounds his death, but whether he was assassinated or truly did die in an accident means nothing. His death has given the underground Fatherland Front the hope they need to begin acting against pro-German elements in the country. As Italian influences attempt to snake their way into the country, the Reich has begun to crack down on what they see as dissident activity. Only time will tell what will result from the two's meddling on Bulgaria. And so, the great game begins. Oh, bloody hell. What is this? We'll read that in a second. The German-Italian Great Game. Bulgaria, Hungary, Serbia, Romania, and France. Ever since Italy and the Reich split from each other, these nations have been the target of constant diplomatic game of influence. A game that continues to this day. The Great Game is played in 5 rounds. Are we playing freaking cards against Italy? What is going on? Not unlike the game Set e Mezzo. I've never heard of it. Both the Italian and German diplomats will face a series of decisions, or cards, in each round. Starting from a random base of diplomatic effort in the ever-shifting game, the goal is to hit diplomatic success, represented by the value 10, with the Germans represented by the left-hand card and the Italians by the right-hand card. However, the art of diplomacy is a fickle thing. Push too hard and over 10, and the round is lost. We're actually playing cards, okay? If both parties go over or stay below 10, then the higher value wins. An equal effort means a draw. Having the majority of the issues stalemate in the diplomatic battle, and the target must decide that neutrality is a better choice. Turn 1. We have heart, and they have C. What the hell is that supposed to mean? These aren't numbers. Does that mean, is this a king of hearts, and therefore 10? And this is a jack, kind of? The number is in the center. So it is. I missed that. Okay, we have an 8, they have a 3. Okay, so right now, improve operational security in Bulgaria. It's progressing. I don't know what it will do when it does. We can supply infantry equipment. We can send our allies in Bulgaria new rifles to help their government equip their underarmed security units. For 10 days. Add 2 to 4 points. We don't want to do that. Additional guards, 1 to 5 points. Train new guards, 1 to 3 points. The new Bulgarian man, 1 to 4 points. Or establish connections with the Fatherland Front. Various factions of the Fatherland Front are perfect allies to sabotage German influence in Bulgaria. Why would I want to sabotage German influence in Bulgaria? Oh, no, Italy's doing that right now. Okay. So there's also the power struggle. This is crazy, UI. Absolutely crazy. What's the significance of the 2 symbols? What do they mean? I have no idea. It seems odd. Right, well, we're going to stick with 8. I mean, 8 seems fine if we don't want to go over. Meanwhile, the Gang of 4. The Reich is a granitic? Is that a word? Granitic? Okay, granitic are coarse-grained crystalline rocks of indigenous aspect, composed of quartz, feldspar, and microus or ferromagnesium minerals such as hornblende. What the heck does that mean in context of a nation? Like, calcified? Feldstar, Pog, yeah. I mean, what? Anyway, firmly on with the Führer's control and utterly dedicated to the glorification of the German people and National Socialism. This is what propaganda tells, but in truth, large cracks run through the entire facade of this seemingly powerful giant. Both inside and outside the administration, weak voices ask for change, for reform, anything they say, to stave off the inevitable collapse of Germany's crumbling empire. Among this choir of whispers, 4 manage to stand out, barely audible in the blaring propaganda. They are the Gang of 4. Kurt George Kissinger is a prominent member of the NSDAP with deep connection to many organs within the Reich. While charismatic and cautious, his reformist views don't endear him to the conservative leadership. So I'm just going to stand up because I've been sitting down for too long today. It's going to be a bit of a whirring noise. His reformist views don't endear him to the conservative leadership. Ludwig Erhard is an extremely respected, outside of Germany that is, economist, who had already predicted the economic collapse. Of course, in a modern version of Cassandra's tale, no one listened to him until it was too late. Cassandra is the Troy one, right? And his vehement criticism earned him many enemies. Helmut Schmidt is an expert diplomat who joined the NSDAP, mainly to cover up the fact that he hates National Socialism with a vengeance. His ties to American business would greatly help Germany if anyone cared to listen to his advice. Henning von Tresco hails from the ancient Prussian warrior nobility, and, as expected, a general in the Heer. Disgusted with the state of the Wehrmacht, he wants to reform it along the old Prussian standards, which made him not exactly a friend of the high hierarchies. Each an expert in his own field, the members of this small group of reformers have put themselves under the wing of Albrecht Speer to avoid persecution, even though their relationship with their patron wasn't always as idyllic as they would like, mainly because, unlike them, Speer is a convinced Nazist? Not sure. They all depend on each other to protect themselves from the SS and plan Germany's future, so it may be better than the present. Germany needs saving from itself. Ain't that the truth? We could continue diverting infantry equipment. Which, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep diverting infantry equipment. Reeling in. Yeah, be nice to the student protesters. We're kind of with them, honestly, at this point. So, seems good. Done Next focus. Calm down the Wehrmacht. I do like the writing. With the Führer's bestowment upon Speer, the soon-to-be vacant chalice of the Reich, many of the state's most cherished institutions have responded poorly. The worst has come from the Wehrmacht. Given the Wehrmacht's traditional conservative views, it's unsurprising the section of a relatively liberal, at least by our standards, has upset them greatly. In order to maintain order in the Reich, we must first calm down the Wehrmacht. Or embrace the students. Okay. And then we can appeal to the Reichstag, tour the nation, approach the Americans, the first reform, promise a future, or support the Kriegsmarine, find the reformers, restrict SS involvement, defund the Luftwaffe. This requires all of the following. Shall we do military first or students first? That's a tricky one. This seems like the path that will take us to war less quickly. We get more legitimacy on the right-hand path, it looks like. But these seems like the kind of, like, restricting SS and recruitment might cause problems. I'm going to put it to a vote. While they're voting, let's check this out. The art of diplomacy, the cacophony of clinking glasses and waves of forced laughter, has given Bormann a headache. Among 2,000 guests milling around the tables were a fair number of diplomats of both German and foreign extraction. He placed the speech notes on top of the podium with sweating hands, surveying the room in apprehension. The speech was short and simple, admittedly a little bland. Bormann smiled to himself bitterly. He had never been able to match the striking visual imagery and acerbic. How do you say this word? Acerbic wit of Goebbels' writings. At times like these, he almost missed that lecherous little rat. Gentlemen, he announced into the microphone, waiting as a blanket of silence gradually fell upon the room. The Führer. He turned to his right and saluted. The guests followed suit, rising to their feet and saluting to varying degrees of hastiness. Adolf Hitler shuffled towards the podium and grasped it with two trembling hands. Recent events may have heralded a diplomatic shift for the Reich. Hitler's voice quickly faded away. Bormann's blood ran cold as Hitler looked up and eyed the hall in confusion. Where is Ernst? They told me he would be here. Bormann strode over to the podium and placed an arm behind the Führer's back, gently leading him away. The old man's body was violently quivering. I think I was at your wedding, Hitler exclaimed loudly, his rasping voice reverberating through the hall. Confused murmurs erupted throughout the crowd. Are you still in the SA? Forgive me, what's the SA? I should probably know that. Forgive me, gentlemen, Huell exclaimed, swiftly taking the podium as Bormann and Mischt led Hitler towards the exit. The Führer has accidentally given my speech. Allow me to continue. The real question is, are any of us still in the SA? You see, the Reich's diplomatic progression has mirrored in some way the evolution of the SA. Oh yes, good save there, bud. The disaster averted indeed. Okay, cool. So, Embrace the Students has won. It was extremely close. And we're going to go over to Embracing the Students. Given the Führer's appointment of Reichsmaster Albert Speer as successor, it's only natural that we should attempt to pursue a more friendly policy towards student protesters. Perhaps by wholeheartedly embracing the student movement, it will perhaps halt the increasingly violent protests that continue to disrupt our major cities. If not, at least it would show that the future Führer is a pragmatist, which may endear us to the students. We get some political power and some legitimacy. Let's do it. This music mod's cool, by the way. The SA, who I forgot, it's the precursor to the SS, the ones that were killed in the Night of the Long Knives, when Hitler thought they were too influential. At least that was his, maybe that was the excuse, but... A dinner, an argument, an idea. Goering was picking at his dinner at Cairn Hall. He should have been satisfied. The food was terrific. Emma was beautiful as always, and, well, those priceless paintings had not yet lost their glamour. Given how many he had collected since the war. He really should have been enjoying themselves, if not for his guests. What we need is conquest, the thing that made us masters of Europe in the first place. Day by day, our grasp on Europe grows ever more tenuous, and I shudder to think of what might happen once our great Führer dies. This was at least what Otto Ernst Riemer... What do you mean, this was at least what Otto Ernst Riemer? This was at least what Otto Ernst Riemer thought, maybe? That's a nonsense statement. Anyway, how Goering detested the angry little man. Goering knew that he was one of the key architects for the suicidal war plans. Well, I can tell you with great certainty that the last few decades of stewardship under our great Führer have reaped nothing but dividends. I mean, we were the first to get a man on the moon. I think there may be some years yet left in our Third Reich. After all, we are not yet close to the 1000th year. Am I not yet right? Reichsmarshal Goering. William Stuckart was a longtime friend, supporter, and ardent National Socialist. As far as he knew, Europe was theirs, and the future of the Reich was no longer about further conquest. Well, Goring looked at Schroner's lackey before returning his gaze to William Stuckart. Before he had a chance to answer, the militarist interrupted him and condemned the weak-willed bureaucrats for the anemic economy. Stuckart, of course, did not take it sitting down and leapt up in indignation and began what would be a shouting match between him and the ardent Schronerite. Schronerite? Goring excused himself from the meal to no one's notice. It would have been a waste to sign away his great popularity with the likes of Schroner and his merry band of madmen. No, destiny awaited. Surely the successor would rather eager to enlist the help of none other than Hermann Goring himself. Yes, there was much work to be done as soon as he can calm down the two idiots enough to finish dinner. How long will those two argue? Gets event an invitation from the reformer. Is this still going on? I guess it's when this happens. Buy connections on the front. Italy will have completed this decision if improve operation is not active. Okay, so that's going to happen when this finishes, I think. Okay, well, I'm not worried about this right now, so. Nothing else I can do in the power struggle. Okay, well, I guess that's just a new event that's going to fire in a few days. We'll see. Okay. I guess we just wait for events, basically. Here we go. An invitation to the reformer. Dear Speer, as Reichsmarshal, I must congratulate you on becoming the chosen successor of our glorious Reich. To celebrate this historic moment, I wish to extend a cordial invitation to dinner at Cairn Hall. I have been told you are a man of expensive tastes, so on that front I believe that Cairn Hall is second to none. I have also heard that you are a man of many ideas and reforms, one who wishes to bring the Great to new heights. Although my past exploits were of the military kind, one thing I have learned in my time as a politician is this. One can never have too many men to keep peace when less imaginative minds wish to keep things the way they were. For such fiends, I can only recommend the bayonet. I understand that your gang of 4 would be your main advisors. Perhaps there is room for one more. My popular support and military prowess would no doubt shore up further support for your cause, and there is no other government I would rather serve under than yours. Sincerely, Reichsmarshal Heinrich Göring. Okay, so we gained a supporter. This seems good. Can I respond? I'll go to dinner. He might try and murder me, but I'll go to dinner. I wouldn't mind having someone backing us up. Seems fine. I mean, he is, you know. Okay, here we go. A gang of 4 or room for one more. Albrecht Speer thought it was amusing how informal and relaxed the letter was after reading and rereading it. The letter barely seemed the type of correspondence that would have the far-reaching consequences of the Reich Speer was to inherit and manage going forwards. For a moment, it was tempting. Göring was a media darling and also someone who would no doubt move a lot of fence-sitters towards his side, but everything else about him would be more trouble than he was worth. Primarily, his very nature would create an imbalance in the already fragile Gang of 4. His old saber-rattling reputation would put him at odds with Schmidt, and his terrible economic ideas would no doubt butt heads with Earnhardt. Göring, too, was a man who enjoyed the spotlight and would probably try and steal it from the old silver-tongued Kissener. And, well, Tresckow. Herr Speer, Tresckow is waiting in the lobby to see you. Speak of the devil. Oh, please send him in, thank you. Speer had made up his mind now. Tresckow would be the one to handle this. Göring and Tresckow were never amicable in the first place. Perhaps Schronier would enjoy knowing this also. Of course, the details would all be handled in due time. When Tresckow opened the door, he was surprised that Speer had been standing up and waiting for him, seeming more animated than his usual self. For once, perhaps, they may agree upon something. A pity. I would have enjoyed to visit Cairn Hall. Okay, so we don't get a choice about whether or not we actually have him. Fair enough. We're gonna tell Tresckow to deal with it somehow. Okay, don't know what that means, but Agent Kleiner Fuchs, good name. Among the many agencies dedicated to rooting out any danger to the Reich's integrity and continued supremacy, none holds so much power as the Erbwehr, which is the real name for the German spy network, I think. Spy, whatever you'd call it. Okay, MI6. At top of such a large, well, MI5, I guess, maybe. Such a large and convoluted agency with tendrils drilling deep into all offices and bureaus of the especially large German administration, a single man sits uncontested. His power enough that he can order the death without having to ask for permission, and even the SS must tread carefully within his reach. Reinhard Glenn, best known as Agent Kleiner Fuchs, is a secretive man, a quality that goes well with his role. Had it not been so, he would have long since been dead. With cunning and skill, Glenn rose through the ranks of the Erbwehr, making important allies and equally important enemies, but no friends. It's difficult being friends with someone who holds enough evidence against you to send you to the concentration camps for the rest of your life. Amongst the countless agents working under him, one stands out. one he has taken the slightest bit of attachment for. Gerhard Wessel, known as the field agent as Agent Velsitz Klassen, is a capable officer hailing from the Wehrmacht and Glenn's protege for almost a decade. Ever since he discovered his ability with analysing large amounts of complex data and quickly devising plans and countermeasures, while not the best field agent, something which Glenn tries every day to change, Wessel possesses both competence and loyalty, a rare combination of qualities these days. In a world of shadows, the one who rules over them is in charge, and the Reich is all shadows, be they large or slim, grey or pitch black. Swear their allegiance to Agent Kleiner Fuchs. Use your cover names, it will save you. Interesting. Okay, interesting event. Doesn't really have any impact on the story at large yet, anyway. Can we try and cozy up with the spy, get him to kill Heydrich for us? Because I think Heydrich's going to get the support of Himmler and then use that to his advantage in a potential civil war. So, Goering at Carnhall. Goering strolled out of his office to the sigh. His gambit had failed. He was wedded to the militarists for now. His letter to the successor was leaked, and Schorner... okay, that's what we leaked. That's what we were getting the other guy to do. Schorner had came calling about his betrayal. Goering had lied to him. The Conservatives had sent the letter without his knowledge and set up the meeting. By a stroke of luck, Schorner believed him, but Goering knew that Neumann wouldn't. It was... I'm not sure I can follow this freaking web of characters. By a stroke of luck, Schorner believed him, but Goering knew that Neumann wouldn't. It wasn't as if he didn't try, explaining to the Reichsmaster how the militarists had done that on his behalf. After all they'd been through, Goering had thought there would be some quotable words on either side, but Neumann didn't even manage to finish his sentence before hanging up on Goering in exasperation and disbelief. In one phone call, his Conservative support had died. As he strolled through Carnhall's art section, one painting caught his eye. It was of Napoleon. He was sinking into his chair, defeated. There was no commanding gaze, no passionate look. It was a blank stare towards nothingness. Initially, it was a matter of pride. Nowadays, who, after all, was the master of Europe? The Führer was not French, let alone one called Napoleon. However, now Goering looked at the painting with a new sense of empathy. If Schorner had his war plans were successful, he would no doubt go down in history as one greater than Napoleon. But Goering knew deep down that he was no Napoleon. Even with the greatness of the Reich, the later war plans were near impossible to achieve. On that day when his armies falter and his people groan, he wondered if someone would ever make a painting of him. Lies, failure, and disappointment. Get wrecked. A day of remembrance. Today, as has happened every 28th of March since that fateful day, the Reich remembers Joseph Goebbels. Oh, he's dead. Fair enough. Don't really care then. He's dead. He's going to stay dead. Doesn't seem relevant, to be honest. So they're all increasing their legitimacy, and they're all wildly more legitimate than me. This seems really bad. Let's see if there's live updates, or whether we have to open close it. Ah. Oh, no, sorry, I haven't finished yet. Yeah, live updates. That's cool. Strategic fort building. Our predicted war builders. Westphalen, Rhineland, and Hessen. No, I think we're going to keep diverting infantry equipment instead. But our influence is now 0. And we don't have the influence to do anything about it. We can't do our looking for opportunities. Are we going to get any political power from this? Yeah, we'll get some from this. And then I guess we'll appeal to the Reichstag next to try and get some more political power. Seems good. Assassination attempt on Edward VIII. In stunning news today, the King of England has escaped assassination during a speech he was performing outside Buckingham Palace. The assassin, believed to be a radical organization of the organization HMMLR, attempted to throw a grenade at the monarch in the middle of the speech, only to be stopped by the fact that their device landed amidst members of the government standing behind the king, shielding him from its wrath. This was a public representation of the instability many have long believed hides behind the facade of civility in modern England. Apparently the god was fond of the king this day. Interesting. So they're falling apart over in England, are they? Own people's hate. The Douglas Home government has a distinction for being the only government to last more than 4 years since the end of the war with Germany. Unfortunately, it's not popular, and a good many people it rules despise this. The exact reasons vary: perceived illegitimacy, to discontent with the state of England, and even the simple desire to avenge those killed by the Germans or the collaborationist government. This lack of public support limits the government's ability to meaningfully pass legislation, as the royal party and its factions rest on a knife edge of becoming outright despised by an otherwise apathetic population. Fixing this will be a challenge, to say the least. Yes, fair enough. So we've embraced the students, political power and more legitimacy. Let's appeal to the Reichstag. Try and get some more political power so we can actually do some opportunities. Seems good. Yes, I thought he looked familiar. Apparently this is a real Real guy. Proud Minstriner of the German Reich. This proud nation has thrown off the shackles of degeneracy and entered the new age, regarded as a close brother in arms in the fight for European unity and prosperity under the Einheitspact. Its fate is intertwined with Germany's. Interesting. We have improved our infantry weapons. Cool. Do it again. It's ahead of time. Let's invent special forces. Bloody Ferdinand, the so-called monster in uniform. Shauna. Okay, so we just heard about this guy. The glory in the war was heaped upon him. He has not looked favourably upon wider bureaucratic circles. He's always been ambitious, and he was cataclysmically poor in his West Russian war performance in the 1950s. Considered a failure by many and generally despised by subordinates and superiors alike, Schorner has nonetheless forged a path as influential leader in the Reich's militarist faction and is considered to be Goering's #1 man. To the likes of Speidel, who he despises, his clique is little more than a psychotic band of saber-rattlers. To Schorner and his followers, however, they are the saviours of a decaying and dying German. German? Do you mean Germany? A noble band of warriors demanding greater power for the Wehrmacht and an increased sphere of German influence in Europe and beyond. Deserters got no mercy from him. Okay, so there's a dickhead who's in charge of the army and Goering doesn't like him anymore. Cool, good to know. How's this game going? It's still turn 1. Is in 6 seconds? 6 turns? Days, rather? Is this the end of this turn? I think it is. Let's see if we win. The Führer Museum. Fuck, is the text, apparently. I'm going to read that after this. I want to see if we win turn 1. I don't know if it matters. Like, I don't know if any of this is relevant if a civil war breaks out, but it seems fun, right? No longer under the effects of civilian austerity. That should make the students calm down. Let's see what happens here. Failed. Now it's turn 2. So we won, right? Yes, we won. Let's go. We start at 6, they start at 5. Get Bulgaria to declare a state of emergency. Okay, so we can fake riots. 1 to 6 points. So 6 would be troubling. Mobilize the garrison. 2 to 4 points. And they're lobbying for amnesty. Italian legalization of various political parties that make up the Fatherhood Front. I'm going to mobilize the garrison. They don't like us if we do this. But we get 2 to 4 points, which seems good. Let's go. We win round 1. And we've got the Führer Museum. I'm not going to read the whole thing. He's talking about a commissioned sculpture of his successor. It's all good stuff. He's trembling. He's body tightening up. Oh god, he had a proper stroke by the sound of it. Yelling at the counter to stay back. He slipped on blood with a yell, turned Hitler to his side and inspected a wound on his forehead. It was just a cut. The doctor gave him a glare as uproar reached a fever pitch. So he fell over because he had some kind of stroke or epileptic fit, it sounds like. And Hitler's health is continuing to degrade. Cool. Read it, coward. No. My voice is running out and I've got D&D to run later. I would like to see us... Oh, we should probably be diverting more infantry equipment, right? Yeah, let's just keep diverting infantry equipment. We don't need to be legitimate if we have tons of guns. That's the kind of Germany that we're going to build. Visual novel masquerading as a grand strategy game. I'm getting that impression. Which to me makes it not perfect for a Let's Play. But oh well. We got 3, so we're at 9 now. Get wrecked, Italians. They're not going to be able to beat us now. Good stuff. Appealing to the Reichstag. We get 60 political power and 5 legitimacy. So, do you want to do first reform, 5 more legitimacy, and more popular fascism? Okay. The first reform. As what history remembers at the beginning of all to come, it will be attempting to decide exactly what the commencement of such an immense legislative action will be. No doubt he'll eventually come up with something worthy of the title, the first. Yes, I don't really care about approaching the Americans yet. So we're gonna do the first reform. Let's do it. Seems fun. And let's look for opportunities. Fascism is the moderate ideology. Yeah, this is fascism as opposed to National Socialism and Burgundian system. Yeah, so fascism, which is the Albert Speer one, is gaining legitimacy now. Cool. Okay, and we're going to look for opportunities. The economic mess. The economy has been in downturn since the economic crash of the 50s. Many Germans have lost their job and remained or underemployed and destitute for the better part of a decade now. Their only means of survival have hinged on the state continuing to provide them benefits. While the economy was crashing, many small business owners closed their doors for the last time. Major corporate interests throughout the country silently consolidated their holdings and bought properties, machinery, expertise for next to nothing. German citizens were replaced with cheap slave labor, and their jobs simply never returned. A decade later, wages still haven't returned to pre-crash levels, and even 10 years of inflation for the few that still work. The German people yearn for some kind of action. We cannot be content to sit and watch our citizens suffer. Something must be done now to give the people the much needed relief and hope. Unfortunately, it's up to us to decide how best to approach this. It's good writing. Earnhard has some ideas. We could always use more workers in the armament factories. The people just need to trust National Socialism, or we should return to traditional living. Does it matter what we select? Like, who's Earhard? I don't want to pick this one because he might be a complete moron. For the great game with Italy, a tip is that the AI only picks a decision when it has less points than you. That's good to know, thank you. Yes, it's my first time playing. I'm going to say, yeah, more workers in the armament factories. Each gives a successor legitimacy. Oh, they don't all just say ours. I thought they were all saying Speer legitimacy. Right, well, obviously, we're going to go with the one that actually... Ah, thank you. We're going to go with the one that actually increases our legitimacy. That seems obvious. So, Ludwig Erhard. Sure. I'd misread it and I thought it said all of them were that, so that would have been bad. We're up to 10 now. Keep devoting their infantry equipment. Up to 15,000 bonus. Cool. Men Zhang has defeated the Mongolian People's Front. Cool. Good for them. I didn't know there were any wars going on. Ooh, what does this 4 mean? Right, we're at DEFCON 4. We hadn't looked at this yet. This is cool. World tension is 30%. We're at DEFCON 4. 1 is worse. Ongoing conflicts. The Bureaurat, I'm not quite certain how you pronounce that, mutiny. Is this where ongoing wars are in the world and it shows them by region? That's extremely cool. Currently, there are some diplomatic crises. And diplomatic crises severity. The Hawaiian Missile Crisis started on January 1st. The end of the Hawaiian Missile Crisis. And then it went down again. Okay, so I guess Japan owns Hawaii and tried to put missiles there, and the US went, no, don't do that, and they backed down. And there's some unity in the free nations. Cool. Meanwhile, back down. No, they got 10! The lucky bastards! Well, we only have a 1, at best, we have a 1 in 6 chance of getting 10. So they're going to win turn 2. That sucks. Rip. Well, we're going to lose turn 2, but that's fine. We'll keep working at it. Okay. Few more days. So I can't look for new decisions? Maybe once his health gets worse. It's possible to draw on the rounds. Yeah, but we only have a 1 in 6 of getting 10 rather than over 10 and therefore losing, so that seems foolish. I guess more options are visible in the event. Yeah, so I think so Göring is getting more and more. I thought Göring was willing to like bend the knee. Why didn't we accept that again? He was too different from our band of 4 or whatever they were called, I guess. 1 out of 6 is better than 0% chance. You know what? You're not wrong. And it doesn't cost anything to frame them from attacks. So, yeah, okay. That's an excellent point. Well, let's give it a go. 1 in 6 chance we get it. And then we get a draw rather than a loss. Sure. Yeah, we're not going to spend political power on it, but yeah, this costs absolutely nothing, so that's fine. More diversion of infantry equipment, please. The fact that I haven't seen their influence go down, actually Goering's just went down 5, so I guess he's also diverting infantry equipment. Interesting. Let's see how our framing goes. Come on! No! 14. So this, it doesn't, I thought it was going to reset to 0. I guess it just makes us lose once the round's over. Yeah, get me some air accidents chance lower because of better radar. Sure. Okay, still diverting. No new decision here. I guess he'll have to get worse. Brazil wins the World Cup. Yeah, I guess. Don't even care about that in real life. The collapse of the triumvirate. The triumvirate conference at Malta. It would appear as though whatever chances the fragile alliance went down in flames. The incident proving the final straw for many. Oh, that's interesting. So Italy, France, the Iberian Union, and Turkey were in a union, were in an alliance before, but now they have fallen out. That seems unbelievably short-sighted. Okay, looking towards their own problems. Hey, Italy, want to join my faction? Maybe you could come over and help Spear. The first reform is complete. Is there any political power to be had in here? Some, yeah. Tour the nation. Doesn't seem like it does much. Promise a future. Yeah, let's tour the nation first, and then we'll go on. We'll calm down the army after that. Cool. I have taken a national focus. Good. What does the 4 mean again? Right, DEFCON 4, right. Why were we at DEFCON 2 earlier? Ooh, there's another area with a war in. This is a really cool UI. I guess that's because the game starts with that missile crisis between the US and Japan. Yeah. What is this war in China about, then? The People's Revolutionary Council? What are you up to? At war with Mongolia. Sorry, not Mongolia. Menjang, I guess. On the Berg. Spear leant against the balcony in weariness, inhaling the crisp air. Image of the Fury enters his mind once more, a frail figure wrapped in freshly stained bedsheets. He opened his eyes and stared in solemn reticence at the setting sun, moving painting before him, and the fluttering leaves, the majestic trees of the washing grass. It was wise of you to bring the Fuhrer here, Spear said to the man beside him. Dr. Brandt, also staring into distance. There are worse places to take up personal residence than the Berghof. That's like the big castle on the hill, right? Like the kind of place they go at the end of Band of Brothers, I think. Even if that fool Schwab keeps undermining you, Karl, I need an honest answer here. The public are getting suspicious. Will he recover? It isn't likely, Brandt said quietly. I need you to do something for me, Karl. Spear placed a reassuring hand on Brandt's shoulder and looked deeply in his eyes. You told me earlier that Bormann sends one of his lackeys here at 3 p.m. every day to deliver a report to the Fuhrer. Well, I will send my own man earlier in the day to give you a different report. When Bormann's lackey arrives, I want you to inform him that the Fuhrer is asleep, but you will dutifully pass on the documents when he wakes. Instead, you will deliver my report to the Fuhrer and send Bormann's report to me. Spear could see the apprehension on the doctor's face. I trust you with this, Karl. You're my friend. Besides, am I not the rightful successor? The race has only just begun. Lose 15 more stability. Excellent. Do we have any occupied territories with resistance? Like, why don't we have resistance in Poland right now? Have we fully exiled the original Polish population? Seems unlikely, right? Maybe we did, though. Maybe we did full Germanization. Yeah, so we lost the second turn. We got 8 on the next one. Okay. Well, I don't think any of these give us low enough points. Well, if necessary, we'll try propaganda campaigns, which gives us a 2 out of 3 of getting good stuff. Meanwhile, bring her regiments to our side. Okay. What do we want to divert? We gain 2 additional units. Our current bonuses do. Do you want infantry equipment or units? Well, there's 5,000 infantry equipment. How much infantry equipment is there per standard division? 900 in a kind of, good old 3x39 infantry. So sure, we'll try and sway units over to our side. That seems worth it. Turkey has declared war on the Governatio del Levant. That seems interesting. And Che Guevara has been released. Don't really care. So Turkey is going to war with this area. Are you Italian? All these words look Italian. But why aren't you actually under the Italians? That's interesting. Ever since the World War ended, Turkey has never been pleased in their share of the spoils. Far too many Turks ended up outside their borders. These long simmering tensions have exploded today as the Turkish president has announced that a state of war now exists between the Turkish Republic and the Italian Empire. Oh, no it doesn't. Despite being former allies, the war has already proved extremely popular in Turkey. Young nationalists and party members march through the streets of Ankara, calling on Turkey's to lead us to victory. Comparatively, in Italy, the public has shown little to no support for the war, many questioning why Italy is even in Cyprus in the first place. What a way to treat a former ally. What do you mean in Cyprus? The war didn't break out over Cyprus. And it's Greece that owns Cyprus. I'm a little confused. It's an Italian colony, but it has no relationship with Italy. So they're not at war with Italy yet. I imagine they will be soon. I don't know. They're just not at war. Okay, so I'm being told in chat that they're not at war with Italy just for gameplay purposes, so that they don't end up actually invading Italy and they just fight over it in the Middle East. Fair enough. Anything else we can do? Right, we can look for opportunities. Let's do it. Veterans demand their share. Millions of German soldiers were rewarded after a glorious victory. Our loyal troops oversaw the creation of the greatest empire the world has ever seen. It was therefore only fitting to reward them accordingly. Many veterans were given lands to settle, positions of power and influence, prestige, and more than their share of wealth. This was easy enough to handle in the days after a great victory. This sets a precedent of entitlement. They are now demanding the same compensation of the heroes the last war gifted, even men who haven't seen a lick of battle. The most vocal are the new veterans, and the last of our men to see a real war, the veterans of the West Russian conflict. There is no doubt that they suffered greatly to hold back the tide of red rats that threatened Moscow, and therefore only asked for their fair share. It's time we handled retirement benefits once and for all, so we can finally end the debate. It's their right earned in blood, or times are different now. Nope, sorry, get bent. We need the money. How is our economy? We are still making money, even without my my civilian spending and military spending deficits. Invest your liquid reserves to increase GDP. Or increase the construction budget. Use 10% more civilian factories. Increase costs by 5%. Right, so I was right about the fact that it's just how many of them you're actually stealing, basically. Use all your liquid reserves to pay off national debt. Could do. Debt interest 3%. So what? We're paying 9 point something billion in debt per year. Why isn't that coming up under other expenditures? Or do we not have to pay our debt? I'm not seeing debt spending in here. Maybe that's just not, how that works. But, meh. Anyway, I'm going to ignore that. Toward the nation. Despite the furious endorsement of his successor, he remains a divisive figure. So we have toured the nation, and that'll convince them. Now it's time to calm down the Wehrmacht. We've already read this. Yes, we're going to lose some command power, but gain some stability and some legitimacy. Let's do it. Okay, they went up to 8, so we're drawing now. And they are doing something. Let's wait 6 days to see if this works for them. And if it doesn't work, then we won't bother doing something. If it does work for them, we'll do something else. Meanwhile, can't do any of these because we're already bringing regiments to our side. Okay, let's see. So what are they doing? They're identifying anti-German administrators. Find men loyal to the Tsar. The Civil Rights Act of 1962, after years of protests, political infighting, and raising discontent across the nation, this may be a watershed moment. While the Republican Democrats have dragged their feet on the issue for years, Vice President Kennedy spearheaded a bill named the Civil Rights Act of 1962, but found harsh competition in the president himself, who decided to postpone the issue longer. Recent events, however, have sparked a change. Fearing a civil conflict, quickly ratified the bill. While the bill has been celebrated nationwide, it has caused other issues. Tensions between Kennedy and Nixon are high. with the president's actions against the bill causing public opinion of him to drop further, as the southern politicians have begun defecting to the NPP upon mass. Many fear this will be a tipping point in American politics. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing American in this mod. I think that'll be interesting. We'll see. Come on, come on, blow it, blow it. No, they got exactly one, bastards. Okay, well, do we spend political point power on it? Or we could do this one. Send some jet fighters. It gives us worse odds, but doesn't cost any political power. We can't afford to spare political power. Let's roll a dice on some aerial reconnaissance. Meanwhile, he's severely ill. Yeah, we need the political power, I think. But if he's severely ill, we don't have long. Madagascar requests medical equipment. What? Oh, right, you're a Rake's Commissariat. Fair enough. I was thinking, why do we care? We're bastards, remember? Sent us an urgent message. They're experiencing an outbreak of plague on the island. Though the outbreak is in early stages due to a combination of poor infrastructure and inadequate resources, they expect the situation to worsen. We requested a large stock of medical supplies and equipment to be sent to the island to help contain the disease before a full-blown epidemic develops. The request will likely not inconvenience us much, but should the domestic situation in Germany is hardly assured either. Or should we send them? Send them, or we have no time. Well, it doesn't tell me what they do, so sure. We'll send you some medical equipment. We don't want a freaking worldwide pandemic along with all these problems. I'm going to continue to try and bring her regiments to my side. Let's see. Will the aerial reconnaissance work? We have 50% chance that this works. What's this? Outdated equipment. Right. Yes. Start making improved mechanized. Motorized even. What else should we research? Let's get some better recon. Sure. 2 days. I believe in us. I believe. I believe. Yes! Get wrecked, Italy. Bringing it home. Bulgaria will remain in our sphere of influence. So hang on. Bulgaria is in our sphere of influence, but Romania and Hungary and Croatia are not. Interesting. Or this one. The Government of National Salvation. That's Serbia, apparently. Okay. Interesting. Haha, Italy. Diplomatic alert. Another war. Mongolian civil war has broken out. Or rather has finished. And they lost. Cool. Did he read Hitler's description? I'm not sure I did. Oh my god. It's long. I'm going to glance through it. The tyrant of 19 countries. Supreme commander of the Wehrmacht. Humble beginnings, Austrian innkeeps, educated in Munich and Vienna. Served in the First World War. The Lord and Master of Germany, all of Europe, has grown old, where his voice could once command a crowd's rapt attention. There is now only quiet rasping, and a cold calculating mind of steel has gone to rust. Did he ever have a calculating mind of steel? The hands that penned Mein Kampf constantly tremble now, and he adds the final touches to a watercolour of long-dead faces slipping from his memory. The greatest conqueror the world has ever known since Alexander and Napoleon is an old and frail man. In 1962 he is 73 years of age, and some dare to whisper that he is not long for this world. The fear of all the world is that once the Führer's funeral pyre is lit, it will spread, the great conflagration of war, all across Europe once more. It's really well written, this mod. I'm increasingly becoming convinced it's not necessarily a good game for me to stream, but it's really well written. The SDP, Scottish National Party, win in Scotland. Don't give me this real life sad stuff. Calm down the Wehrmacht. Completed. Good. Kriegsmarine or find the reformers. We're going to do Kriegsmarine because I want the political power. Not that we're short on political power right now. Get wrecked. All right, they have 5, we have 6. 2 to 4 for some command power. 1 to 5 for some them disliking us. Neutral administrators. 100k from our liquid reserves. Get 1 to 4. Let's go 1 to 5, I think. Seems good. Okay. Descriptions flicker when you're on board. Yeah, I noticed. Bringing some more her regiments to our side. Is it her? Here, presumably. Is it here? I assume that's how you pronounce that. Severely ill. More regiments to our side. Bum, bum. Our influence is minuscule. And we're not getting any more from our current focus. So we may run out. Yeah, you pronounce it the same as here, as in here it is. Okay. Let's see. How did did we do it? We got to 9! Haha! Crushing you, Italians. So we only have to win this one. If we win this one, we win overall. If we lose this one, then we have to win the next one. Okay. This is a pretty cool system. It's a little... The fact you have to interact with it in events and decisions is a little janky, but I know it's so difficult to make custom UIs, but... Ooh, we can look for opportunities again. Let's do it. Strong arm the opposition. Oh, that's these ones here. Right, yeah. Look for opportunities. Demand for women's rights. Students whining on the streets isn't anything new to our administration. Lots of female college groups are organizing marches, rallies, and meetings. Reactions are mixed. Many are disgusted. Okay. Pay them lip service, promise vague reforms. Let the people wake it out. Break up the marches. Stop the marches and arrest all of their leaders. We will promise vague reforms in order to get some more legitimacy. Sure. We seem to have loads of political power. Maybe stuff will come up that means we need more, but so far we haven't struggled for political power at all. Maybe I should be spending more of it somehow. They don't appear to be doing anything to change this great game thing. I have no idea what the impact of this is. The great game. I mean, I imagine it keeps them in our sphere of influence, but I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what that what the actual impact of this is. Probably political power gain, I would imagine. Maybe some stability. America has declared war on Guyana. What did Guyana do? Can we get involved? I want to prop up the poor people of Guyana against this evil empire-building threat. Supporting the Kriegsmarine. Good. Keep doing this for the stability or find the reformers for command power? No, this gives me legitimacy. Yeah, we should do this next. Find the reformers. Ooh, great games can help our economy, apparently. Cool. Keep bringing her regiments to our side. Yeah, keeps them in your faction. Good to know. So we should win this one. Oh, no, they're encouraging protests. The people's will must be known. The Tsar does not stand alone against the Germans. The people chafe under their occupiers. Encouraging people to rally together in the streets will show Germans that they are not wanted in Bulgaria. So hopefully they won't get 3 or 4 from this. I imagine this is like a 1 to 5. So we've got, you know, okay odds, but we'll see. I'm not really sure how much it matters which nations are in our faction, considering, oh, for God's sake, they got exactly what they needed. Do we draw them or do we roll the dice on 1 to 4? I think we will just draw them in this one. That's, I think that's acceptable. Yeah, because then we can try and win the next one. Whereas if we lose this one... Well, actually, it doesn't really matter if we draw them or lose this one, right? No, wait, yeah, it does. Because if we draw them in this one, worst case, Bulgaria chooses. Whereas if we lose them in this one, then we could actually lose overall. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, they went over. Why the hell did they do that? Fools! Cool. Well, we win. But meanwhile, a trip to the tea house. Any other man would have admired the beautiful scenery that surrounded them. Any other man would have breathed in the fresh air with deep satisfaction while surveying the rolling green hills. Any other man would have listened intently to the melodies of nature, the chirpings of birds, to the buzzing of grasshoppers. Not Dr. Karl Brandt. He was watching the Führer like a hawk, ready to leap forward in an instant. The Hitler had gently asked Brandt if he could maintain his old ritual of strolling the tea house. Imagine that idiot tripping over and smashing his face open on a rock. Gave the doctor some modicum of relief. He had another seizure. Don't just stand there. Get Kemper now. Hitler's breathing back raggedly. The car arrived, leapt out of the driver's seat and thrust open the back door. Helped him to his feet and guided him to the vehicle. Place him under a 24-hour medical watch. Fools! They went over. We win! The great game for Bulgaria is ours. Germany wins. I can still do stuff for some reason. I guess we don't win until they lose this one. But we have 1 point and they have 90, so... In 58 days, get event Bulgaria sides with Germany. Cool. Well, we'll just wait for the event then. Meanwhile, more to draw to our side. We're getting up to 10 units now, but we have 0 influence. He is critical! Cool. Finding the reformers. Maybe I should have rushed down one of these to get either Promise This or a new kind of war, but I don't know. Let's find... Oh no, we've already done that. Let's restrict SS involvement. Yes, that seems like a really important stage, because they could cause problems for us. The SS, the most extreme adherents to the National Socialist philosophy, given the organization's largely radical beliefs, it's becoming a breeding ground for virulent anti-Speer sentiment in the Reich. Furthermore, given the actions undertaken by Himmler in recent years, it's been suggested the SS recruitment should be restricted with or without their consent. The SS's considerable hatred for Speer has provided him with a legitimate casus belli to enact said restrictions. Meanwhile, the Argentinian government has been couped, and oh my god, has Burgundy finally done it? The Swiss Seismological Service issued a press release with worrying news. Last night, their HQ in Zurich noted a seismological event somewhere in the Burgundian Jura that lasted 4 seconds and reached 4.6 on the Richter scale. Due to the lack of aftershocks, they concluded this is not natural activity, but likely a man-made incident. Several Swiss radiologists have also reported a spike in atmospheric radiation equivalent to a mild nuclear meltdown or an atomic air blast. Governments worldwide have arrived at one conclusion. The Burgundians have successfully tested a nuclear device twice as strong as the one dropped on Pearl Harbor in 1945. With the shadow state remaining tight-lipped as ever, the news will likely never be confirmed. Still, it seems that 1962 will be remembered as a dark point in history, the year Burgundy ascended to the ranks of nuclear powers. What does that madman think he is doing? So they now have a national spirit, which presumably is like Project Gallahorn. Oh god, this is heinous flavor text. They are they're nuclear now. Can we see our nuclear arsenal? Is that something that exists, or do we? I guess we interact with that through events. I believe if an all-out nuclear war starts, the game just ends and you lose, which is a really cool system. The great thorn upon the Atlantic. Iceland with utter contempt. After all, the island was the Achilles heel in the Reich's strategic planning. Worse was the fact they allowed it to become so. At the end of the Second World War, they willingly allowed the Americans to assume control of the island. The Americans have fortified the island over the last 20 years into an impenetrable barrier. Its coast lined with pillboxes and bunkers. Inner fields ploughed and lined with concrete to support the vast weight of the B-52 Strato fortresses. The nuclear first strike capacity of the Americans, oh that's really cool, pointed like a dagger at the heart of the Reich. It was a surprise to German high command when the Americans announced they would be extending their extensive economic zone. Citing issues with British fishing trawlers in the area, a plan was quickly drawn up to protest this thinly veiled attempt to seize economic viability of a pact member. The Kriegsmarine will be mobilised in the North Sea to protect British trawlers from any transgression. Okay, so we're starting some posturing against the Americans now. Let's keep looking for opportunities. The Autobahn Renewal Project. We will repair the oversight and get some legitimacy. COD Wars, but with nukes. Let's do it. Seems fun. What could go wrong? You can see your nuclear stockpile under your laws. Where? Military laws. No. Societal development, nuclear stockpile, massive stockpile. Let's go. So you can have a non-nuclear power, single weapon, multi-weapon stockpile, large stockpile, massive stockpile, or apocalyptic stockpile, which costs more. Okay, and I guess people are more likely to back down if you have a bigger stockpile. The Eagle soars. When the Kriegsmarine entered the Icelandic EEZ, all signs pointed to a brewing crisis. Minds of those who knew sirens wailed and war drums beat. Did not come to pass, however. President Nixon recalled the new EEZ to pre-crisis borders, as well as demobilizing any US and assets operating in the region. The Kriegsmarine and their allies allowed to parade undeterred in once Icelandic waters, much to the dismay of every Icelandic fisherman. It seems the giant remains asleep while the eagle soars over her domain. What ramifications this will have diplomatically are yet to be seen, but everyone agrees Germany's might is not questioned. Yeah, not till Hitler dies at least. How long until this ends? 53 days. And we've researched special forces. Cool. I want to see how they handle an actual crisis that we can get involved in. Because that's the make or break of the mod for me. And I suspect it will be break, to be frank. Sure, let's improve our artillery. Because if it was actually interactive and interesting, that would be so cool. Like an actual Cold War game. But it's probably narrative. Nixon backed down immediately. I guess if he didn't back down, maybe we would have had more events with choices as to whether we back down, and then it would trigger like another decision struggle thing, but I don't know. There's been a bombing in Ukraine. We got problems at home. I'm not too fussed about Ukraine, to be honest. I really have to stop soon, but I want Hitler to die. Bring more regiments to our side. Diplomatic confrontations can go to all-out war. Yeah, I read the summary of how that works on the intro screen. Apparently, there's basically escalating stages where each side can go more and more aggressive, and eventually it goes to all-out war between the two, which does sound interesting. American spy plane intercepted. Luftwaffe units based in northern England intercepted a U-2 American spy plane. Radar detected it approaching. Fighters were scrambled as all interceptors were undergoing maintenance. En route to interception, 3 of the 4 aircraft suffered engine difficulties and returned to base. The final one entered missile range and fired. The American pilot, terrified of being shot down, immediately fled with his tail between his legs. That's right. Run! Maybe that will cause a crisis as well. We've successfully restricted SS recruitment. I think I'm going to do defund the Luftwaffe. Why? Because Göring's in charge. Fair play. And do we win yet? No. 16 days and we win the great game. We're gonna have the great game finish and then hopefully win this one, and then I think we're gonna call the episode there. The next update will rework. Yeah, so I'm being told in chat a few things are being reworked in the next update. One's the economy and one is the crisis and proxy conflict system. Those both sound like those are the two key differentiators this mod has versus other things. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with those. Turkestan has defeated the Republic of Kazakh. Give me Bulgaria. 5 days. It's today. Give me Bulgaria. Yoink. Oh, sorry. I forgot they have there's such thing as 0 days left. Failed. Wait, excuse me. We win, right? A new sultan. Whatever. We're worried about Bulgaria right now. It says 0-0. There we go. Bulgaria sides with Germany. The administrators in the right raise toasts to each other for German efforts to rein Bulgaria back into the pact have been met with success. Both Germany and Italy have recently been jockeying for control over the small but strategically important country. The Germans have come out on top. Bribing, extorting, and exerting their soft power, they have managed to cement their control in the strategically important region. Italian effort. It's not very strategically important if you don't control Bulgaria, to be honest. The Germans have come out on top. Nice. Another important victory for the Reich, which does literally nothing for us, apparently. Oh well. Still, that's cool. We got them. Let's go. Remain in our pact. It's interesting UI problem there. Keep bringing more and more regiments to our side. Now all we need to do is have Hitler die. And then I can go play D&D. It's been interesting trying out the mod. Welsh Unionists. I don't care. Britain is not a dream. Oh, so the Welsh are trying to unite into Britain again. That's fun. Alright. So this is still here. I wonder why. Maybe if I close it and reopen it, it'll go away. Yeah, nice. The Italian victory in the Italo-Turkish War solidified. Reinforced the hold. Sorry, the Italian victory in the Italo-Turkish War. I thought they were getting crushed. They have established control over the Gulf. Excuse the whirring noise again. Sitting back down, lowering the desk. Defunding the Luftwaffe's done. Let's go for a new kind of war. It's been decades since the end of traditional war, as it can be referred to. Many generals seem to have failed to comprehend the change in situation. Seeing this old-fashioned outlook is concerning. Yes, absolutely. Seems good. Study a new kind of conflict. Enter the new era. Equipped. That seems prudent. Recon company researched. Can we research nukes? Somewhere in here? No? Nuke is just big artillery, right? No, doesn't look like we can. Or maybe it's on engineering? No, I guess nukes are just invented and stay invented. Let's get better radar. I'm being told nukes are just from focuses. Fair enough. More opportunities. I can't say I care about Paraguay right now. Or Levant. The people have the right to protest. Make sure our people are safe while the students are out calling for the kind of things that we're also calling for. Southern Americans look with concern at Uruguay, as many Marxist revolutionary groups in the continent meet. Could they be planning another revolution? We have tons of political power here. I don't know if I've done something right to achieve that, or if we just got lucky, but we seem to be doing well. They do have a lot more influence than us, but I don't know how much that matters. I don't know if it matters, in fact. Hitler, die already. I have to go. Keep bringing more regiments to our side. Not long now. Certainly seems like it. Should I be doing anything else? Maybe we could be training the exercise. Oh! The doctor's call. Spear's blood was running cold. The dreaded moment finally arrived. He phoned him in the early hours of the morning, claiming Hitler had fallen into a coma. After an hour of sleepless contemplation, Speer once more wrenched himself out of bed, strode to his study room, and plucked up the phone. He needed to talk with the chief of the party chancellery. Hail Hitler, Herr Bormann. I'm sure you would agree the Fuhrer's absence from the public sphere has not gone unnoticed. He has served him faithfully. There's only one thing preventing a faster recovery rate. Is Julius Slab's interference. As the designated successor, I will remove him from his post and publicly condemn him. Let me guess, you want me to condemn him too? Scapegoat him to protect Dr. Brandt? He scoffed. I don't care much for Brandt, but Scribe is a repulsive toad. I'll make sure I speak my mind. Let Goering know, Speer said, and placed down the phone. A pang of sickness growing in his stomach. His friend and mentor was on the cusp of death, and his foes were not going to sit idly by once this fact had reached them. He ran a hand through his thinning hair and slowed his breathing. Hitler's current state of health must remain a secret. Only the most loyal supporters in the party and the Wehrmacht could be informed to prepare them for any future conflict. He should give some speeches to sway moderate party comrades, maybe throw in a few dog whistles to rile up the student movements throughout the Reich. As long as the Reichstag declared him to be the Führer, he could probably maintain a strategic position in Germania in the disastrous event of a civil war. The final curtain is calling. Hitler is comatose. Oh, and maybe I should have done this. Factory Milliant. Influence military factory contracts. Well, no, actually, I think more regiments is probably more important than that. We'll see. Factories seem very weak. I'd rather have more regiments so we could take factories off our opponents than have more factories. Yeah. Okay, but I think I'm going to have to call this episode here. Sorry about that. It's been a great pleasure. I, overall, am not entirely convinced that this mod... In fact, you know what? Here, let me bring the face cam back so we can talk about this and you can see my opinion in my eyes. It's got a bit darker since the face cam was on at the beginning of the episode. I'm not entirely convinced this mod fits Let's Plays, really, because it's a lot of reading. And when I want reading, I turn to Kernel RPG's Let's Plays. They're not really my thing. I do really like reading in games. Like, I've loved Pillars of Eternity. I recently beat Pillars of Eternity 2 on Path of the Damned, for those of you that care. Thank you very much. Thank you. Applause all around. But yeah, I'm not convinced this is really good for Let's Plays. Chat saying they did tell you it would be like this. I didn't disbelieve you. I just wanted to try it out for myself. So I think plenty of people stream visual novel games. This is true, but I don't. What, Bill? Tell me more about the Path of the Damned run after I finish this episode. So I think I'm not going to play more of this mod on YouTube or stream. I might, though. This seems like the kind of mod that I would enjoy playing off camera, basically. So maybe I'll do that. I'm not sure. At least play until the Civil War. Yeah, maybe we should give it 1 or 2 more episodes, because the Civil War would be fun when we actually get to move units around to contextualize the events. That would be more fun. But yeah, I'm just not entirely, because the events are cool and they're well written, but my kind of gameplay on YouTube is more about min-maxing than story, so I'm just not completely convinced. But yeah, I'm very flattered that people in chat are saying they still really enjoyed it, but that's nice, and obviously I'm glad you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed it on YouTube, but I'm just not completely convinced it's for me on YouTube. Min-maxing will come with TT. What the heck's TT? The next mechanic will let you min-max. Okay. Well, we'll try... okay, we'll try another episode. Toolbox theory? What on earth is that? We'll try another episode. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Check out the mod, which is in the description of the first episode of the series, or !TNO in chat. It's very cool and has some really interesting writing in it. Whether or not it's the perfect fit for me on YouTube. Either way, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.